righty, everyone. This is progress meeting number 1 for the Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park Sewer and Water Extension Project. So March 1st at 10 a.m. If everyone who is here could sign in, sign-in sheet is up on the podium there. The contract amount is $4,446,446. Contract time, 630 calendar days. Liquidated damages, $1,500 per calendar day. As everyone knows, we did not have a notice to proceed date after the pre-construction meeting, but the insurance got approved and the agreements were signed. Notice to proceed was given February 16th, 2023, which gives us a contract completion date of November 7th, 2024. Days used so far based off of those numbers would be 13 with 617 days remaining. 2% of the time has been used. No work has been done other than front end stuff, paperwork, so 0% complete. We track project completeness by the value of the contract that has been completed. So that's important to note because going forward, a lot of the paving items are bigger cost items, but they don't take as long to perform. So we might be getting to the end of this project and you'll see that, oh, there's 30% of the work done left and there's only however many weeks left. And then you'll see that, oh, but a lot of that is because paving costs more, but it's quicker work to be done. So if you don't get too worried if we're halfway through the contract and we don't see that half the work's complete. That's not really a large concern. Schedule. Contractors to submit a progress schedule and bar chart form and shall provide updates to the schedule at each monthly progress meeting. Johnny has been working on the schedule. He's going to come up and speak a little bit on that about when we're starting and everything. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so we haven't started yet, but it's looking like April. We'll be mobilizing. Could be the end of March or the beginning of April. We just finished the shop drawing submittals and got those back. So we've ordered materials. Once they come in, that's when we'll be looking to get everything kind of mobilized and delivered, at least get the material that we're going to be starting with, which will be water, delivered. The plan is to start on Donovan's Road with the water. So I would say beginning of April, you'll see a crew starting there. With that said, Josh, we'll need to set up something with DelDOT. I don't see anybody from DelDOT here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got that in our notes that we need to set up our pre-con with DelDOT and talk to Rob. Yeah.
Okay, so we can get that scheduled, see exactly what he's going to want so that when I hit the ground April, there's no issues with DelDOT. From there, the water on Donovan's Road, a month by the time you install it and get the hot mix done, put you into May. So the hope would be, May I'm starting sewer or at least dewatering in the mobile home park. Once we do water, then we'll be ready to install sewer. So May, June-ish, starting to install sewer. I've got that slated for 2 to 3 months, and then laterals take about a month. So that puts you sometime into September. If weather goes good and everything goes good, it could be a little bit sooner than that. And then from there, we'd start the water. Keep in mind that when we do the sewer, we'll install the main, then we will install the laterals to the first clean out. And then we will start on water after that. And once we do the water, same thing. We'll do all the main and come back and install the service to the first curb stop. All right, so that puts you sometime November, I'm thinking, by the time you have that to the first curb stop. And at that point, I'd like to release our subcontractor to start doing sewer and water services. He says he needs like 6 months. So that puts you into spring of next year. And I'll put all this down on
Yeah,
paper
yeah,
so
that's good.
that you can see that, but that puts us into next year, getting all the houses tied in. And ideally, it would be good timing to build the road, rebuild the road and pave, May, June, July. Then that gives you time to do your abandonments and all your final restoration before the contract duration is up, I think in November. Any questions on that?
Perfect. I don't have any questions. I don't know if anyone from the audience has any questions. Terry? So Johnny, if you want to explain, that's fine.
Basically, were you familiar with the project that was done where they were running pumps and they were taking the groundwater out of the ground so that they could dig? Same thing. Okay.
Yep. All right. That's perfect.
Good. And I'll put all that together.
Yeah,
But I did that this morning just to
Yep.
have something to talk about.
that's good.
Yep.
And as far as schedule goes, everyone, that's the schedule that the contractor provides is more informational than anything. It's going to change. It'll probably change 2 months from now. It'll look different. All projects are developing as they go, and something might go faster, something might go slower, and the contractor will make up for that in their revised schedules. All right, a couple SRF funding items. The wage rate interviews will take place approximately 2 weeks after the start of on-the-ground construction. Dean Culver from GMB will perform the wage rate interviews. And once construction begins, weekly certified payroll reports shall be submitted to GMB by the contractor. Equipment and material laydown area, GMB walked through the site with Teal Construction and representatives from the mobile home park owner. Teal confirmed that the provided laydown area should be adequate, and the representatives from the mobile home park pointed out additional areas that could be used if needed. Project sign. GMB provided several locations for the project sign to DNREC. DNREC chose a spot next to Teller Wines due to the visibility of the location. GMB will provide the sign details per the template described in the DNREC project conditions section of the specifications, and a proof of the sign should be submitted for review and approval prior to ordering of the sign. Johnny talked to me about that prior to the meeting. I'm going to get him the funding numbers and how the source should be shown on the sign, and then we're going to get that over to DNREC and DHSS ODW to get that approved and ordered. DELDOT items. DELDOT pre-construction meeting. DELDOT requires contractor to attend a specific DELDOT pre-construction meeting prior to any work being completed, and GMB will also attend. We'll get that set up here shortly and get that underway. Contractor shall be responsible for traffic control during the course of the project and shall coordinate with the owner, engineer, and regulating authority as required. All traffic control flaggers are to be certified. Vehicular access must be provided at all times to all residences and pedestrians who are not within the hard closure work area. Access for emergency vehicles and special needs residents must be maintained at all times. Contractors to coordinate with delivery trucks for businesses located in the work area. Maintenance of traffic. Proposed maintenance of traffic consists of lane closures with flaggers. Compaction testing to be performed where directed by GMB, and DELDOT requires 1 test lift per 100 feet of trench. Then temporary utility trench restoration. DELDOT will allow temporary trench restoration. However, the temporary restoration may remain in place for a maximum of 4 days. After 4 days, the specified trench repair must be installed. Johnny, I know you're familiar with what they want there. Contractor shall contact Miss Utility and the Lewes BPW, and that should also say the mobile home park representatives 48 hours in advance of any excavations. Notification of residents. GMB will coordinate with Teal Construction, notify residents a minimum of 1 week in advance of any work being performed on their homes. Communication with residents, media, et cetera. The contractors direct all complaints, questions to the GMB RPR. Residents are encouraged to bring any issues up to the GMB RPR immediately. Once again, don't save any issues for progress meetings. Get up with Dwayne when issues arise and he will try to take care of them at that point. Dewatering, a permit is required for any construction dewatering. There's no separate pay item for construction dewatering. No permit applications have been submitted. That's correct, Johnny, right? You've not?
That I'm aware of.
Okay. During the site walkthrough, GMB and Teal discussed potential discharge locations for the dewatering system. Request for information. All RFIs are to be submitted in writing to GMB, to my attention. Safety is the sole responsibility of the contractor. Contractor shall abide by all local, federal, and state safety regulations, including OSHA. Contractor shall be solely responsible for initiating, formulating, supervising, reviewing, and overseeing all safety precautions, practices, procedures, and programs that are or should be provided in connection with the work. Contractor will take all necessary or proper precautions for the safety of and will provide the necessary protection to prevent damage, injury, or loss to the work, property, and or persons. The contractor shall comply within those prices, bid and without extra cost to the owner with all safety regulations or determinations issued by an agency of the federal government, including OSHA and the state of Delaware. And I'm actually going to go back up to the first page. I just realized I missed, Johnny went over most of it, but I did want to say that go through number one, work completed. No work's been completed other than the shop drawings being submitted and reviewed, and then the project agreements were signed and notice to proceed was given. Submittals, GMB has reviewed and received all submittals except for the following. I still have the water meter valve vault to review. And then I'll provide Teal with a list of any submittals that are outstanding. And I think, Johnny, most of those are kind of going to be like Del Dot materials.
Yeah, the only one off the top of my head, I just thought of that we haven't submitted as a storm day. And then I will submit the Del-Dot material directly to Del-Dot.
Yeah, can you send it to me as well? Just they'll review it for their source supply, but yeah. Especially if you're going to be using those inside the park as well. Yeah. Survey stakeout. Contractors provide for survey and layout stakeout. Cut sheets are to be provided at least 24 hours in advance of installation. Job site conditions, resident complaints, none to date. We've not started yet. Inspector hours used. We're tracking total hours of RPR time when the contractor is working. Because the contractor has not worked on site yet, we've not amassed any hours, but they'll be tracked as shown there. Weather delays, 0. Same thing. We'll track those as we go. Trench backfill, the contractor is requested to maximize the reuse of excavated material as much as possible. An area has been provided for stockpiling material excavated from the trenching so that it can be utilized as backfill. GMB will assess the suitability of excavated material for use as backfill. Status of contingency items. No contingency items have been used. I will, as we use them, I'll provide those in the progress meeting minute or agendas. The contractor shall be responsible for maintaining one set of red line record documents, which are to be reviewed for consistency at each progress meeting and submitted to the engineer at the project completion. Record drawings are to be provided by a professionally registered engineer or licensed surveyor. Johnny, do you need me to get you sets of drawings?
Yes.
Okay, how many do you need?
3.
3. Change orders. No additional work shall be performed without authorization from the owner. Any requests for time extensions must include adequate documentation. So this will kind of be the general format of the progress meetings, just for those not familiar with how these are run. And item number one will get a lot more focus as we actually start constructing the schedule. Other than that, most of those items will stay on there. We'll discuss each item at each meeting, and any complaints, we'll discuss those. So let's go around, questions and comments. Charlie, Robin?
The project sign, I know, I
Yes.
think we have, but coordinating with the Keller Wines property owner. Because it's on his property, it's not on Dunham Smith.
Yep, Dwayne, talk to him. We're all good. Do you guys want something in writing or?
Probably not. I
Okay.
don't really need anything.
All right. Keith?
I had mentioned the possibility of doing like groundbreaking ceremony before, but I since have spoken with Greg Pope, who spoke with Secretary Garvin, and he is not interested in doing that. So
Okay.
didn't know where you guys were. You know, no longer being requested.
All righty. All right, going around. Good. All right, we'll keep you in the loop. Yep. Sam, Terry?
I think the thing that, I'm very Saunders. I understand.
Probably should come to the.
Yeah.
microphone.
It's important, sir, because you can't believe the misinformation and everything that's going on. And I think in terms of us tenants, we're called homeowners and they are called community owners, okay? And there's no community owner without homeowners, and we're not in the loop. So we created an email. And I'll read it to you because it was going out to everybody. Mr. Calamine, I just read your email, Mr. Calamine, about your latest, this is about when we had a spill and we didn't know anything about it. And then we found out that DNRAC had been coming along working with it. And our community thanks you for your informed assessment and plan. This is for Mr. Derek Carruthers, okay? We are pleased that Lewes City is working with DNRAC and Donovan Smith Management, but what needs to be improved is communication with the community and attendant transparency, because it does not seem to be transparent. All the Donovan Smith residents are Lewes citizens, customers of the management company. We are homeowners, taxpayers, and most importantly, stakeholders. BPW seems to view us as stakeholders, thank you, but this doesn't seem to apply to Lewes City government, code enforcement, DNRAC, or KDM. No one is interested in our leaseholder, community owner relationship history since Ken Burnham bought our park in 1996. But one thing that is clear is there's no community, that communication and cooperation have been a low point. To this end, we suggest that DNRAC, Lewes City, BPW, and KPM have structured communications that is written that include the HOA so that all parties can share correct and accurate information. DNREC could hold periodic community surveys to understand how better we live with these chronic water and sewer conditions versus getting understanding from the community owners since they don't live there. And that it's good that you've got code enforcement working with the city of Lewes talking to management, but that hasn't anything to do with the stakeholders and us taxpayers. So there has to be better communication. The HOA could be instrumental in relaying to DNREC how well the current septic management work, especially in the evenings and weekend when everyone is at home. We know how often the septic trucks come to the pump versus what is recorded. We don't have to repeat the past. We're all interested in the progress of and success of this project and living a good quality of life that other Lewes people share. For example, we don't know the emergency number that we're supposed to call if there's a spill. I mean, we're talking about basics here. And then that would be a beginning step forward because community members have called the numbers of DNREC. No, this is the wrong number. No, this is this. You don't call us here. We still don't know where you report a leak. Also, this is the first time I've ever really lived with a septic. And this may seem a dumb question, but why does it smell? Does the septic, that field smell? Why does it leak? I don't understand that. So that would be helpful if someone could explain that to me, being a city girl and all that. The other thing is that this project has 630 calendar days. We already have a failing water system. We already have a failing septic system. Is there any contingency plan for this? Should it continue to have leaks and water outages and smell? We've had water outages in the summer. We had a big one on Christmas Day. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of contingency plan to think about what if we end up, the water is so contaminated that we have to have bottled water, for example. What's the long-term planning on sort of plan B, C, and D should the current system fail? The other question we have, and I guess Sam can speak about this, has to do with the fact that we are on a floodplain and we are border Ebenezer Branch. And I don't know if this, what is that water, you have to pump the water out. Is there any discussion or any management or any consideration for one, septic leaks that we still have that contaminate Ebenezer Branch? We just had a septic leak. Two, is the water, the water you take out, the out water?
Dewatering.
The dewatering, is that going to contaminate or help Ebenezer Branch? Plus, I saw that you're going to see if the backfill is, are you going to be able to test if that's safe? Because we've had piles, 10-foot piles of sewage that were taken from the old tanks and just left there for months, including the old tank. So we've had a fair amount of contamination there. You don't have to talk about what's going on in Ohio because we're from West Virginia, so we're used to chemical spills of trains that crash. But this here is, let's not be in the paper because to help one thing, we broke something else. Communication, safety. Thank you.
Keith, if there are issues that need to be reported, they will go to the 800 number that goes to the EPOs, right?
Can you help us with that? Because they say that's not roll call. We were thinking about calling Mr. Carruthers directly. We don't know. And we had septic emergencies.
What's that? Right, so the 800 number for environmental complaints is 800-662-8802. And that's where, I mean, that especially during the off hours, that's where it would be reported.
So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we have a problem, we'll just let you know at the same time because the other thing is if DNREC is having Mr. Carruthers come over regularly, what is it that they're looking at? What are they?
So the main thing, well, we met with him, oh gosh, that's been quite a while at this point. We met with him on site. And what he's looking for is if there are areas where there are leaks, that they're appropriately, cordoned off, that they have the caution tape around them. And, I know Jonathan, you've gone out regularly to check that. And if there are areas that are saturated, which you haven't found any other than, when Derek is aware of it. But, if Jonathan observes something, he would report it to Derek.
Yeah, but then there's us who live there because literally our vice president walked their dog and went into that pool of sewage that before it was fenced off that Derek was inspecting. So we're talking about communication and that is great.
But we don't always know. I mean, if you guys are out there, if you would be the ones to see it. So I don't know if we don't know about it, I don't know how we go about communicating. Because we're hearing it from you is what I've seen.
So Derek Carruthers comes out. I noticed this HOA, there's a pole, there's a leak here. We're gonna do this, this, and this way. We send it out to everybody and it's not some rumors or misinformation. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not, the method is really great. The communication.
Okay. Okay, we can talk to Derek about that.
Well, when Sam brought it up to me, I just reached out to Derek and then Derek sent this email that basically went through everything that they found.
Right.
And then I forwarded that back over to Sam.
And if we send it to the communities,
Yeah.
we have, if Mr. Almine is gonna be our person that helped us, that'd be great, but there was no real information about it, what was done. Plus, Derek promised our vice president report about this, which he never sent. And so we ended up with Austin's email to Derek who sent it to us. This is not, looks like it's not transparent.
I don't know how you guys want to handle this, but I feel like it's not none of this is Teal's
It's not.
responsibility. But I know it's a forum for you guys to be able to bring it up, but I don't know that we want to do it every progress meeting.
Right. And again, if we don't have information, if we don't have that information from Denrec, we can't send it out. So it was, when we got an email, it was last week, right? We got an email last week
Yeah.
about a leak. Austin reached out to Derek and then Derek responded and then he provided that information to you. I mean, I don't know. So Austin provided the information that was available as soon as we had it available. So I'm not sure.
It was like 2 weeks, that was 10 days or 2 weeks later that we got the information because I called Austin. And then he got back with me. This has probably been like 10 days after the after fact.
Except maybe Denrec is not here because we were told Denrec may be here today.
Well, the financial part of Denrec is here, but not the regulatory part. So.
Don't want to bring this up every week. Email and that's it's because you guys are doing fine. I have no problem with how you guys are being systematic. You guys are doing-
And you had some questions about contingencies if anything happens. Specifically, no, but some of that can be worked on. There's options. Once Johnny gets the water up to the front of the park, if something were to happen, we could probably tie into the existing system to a change order. There's stuff that could be done to provisionally if we had to.
Just thinking about it.
Yep, stuff that wouldn't be ideal, but if push came to shove, we could probably work out. Jonathan? Yeah.
So in regards to Denver, I think we need close communication with them, and also I do remember back in September, I sent Mr. Saunders a text with Officer Cameron's card, it's a picture that. In regards to this.
I would say the systems are failing. That's why.
Right,
Yeah,
It's just about
Yep.
Overloaded.
pumping?
yeah. Overloaded. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
you know, the ground only has so much capacity to hold the water, and after that capacity is used up, it's got to go somewhere.
Was more pumping remedy that situation?
It could, but if there are situations where no, it wouldn't, and that's just what's going to happen in a failing or overloaded system. Would
And at the end of the project, that'll be shut off, so we won't.
Correct.
Worry about
Right.
that sort of leaking all over.
Yep, that'll all be gone.
That's really important because the kids are using that as a soccer pitch. And we didn't know that it was failing until someone told someone, our vice president.
Mhm.
Also.
Yeah, so as far as right, if you're talking pre and post this project, the same amount of water is gonna run off the Ebenezer branch pre-project and post-project, other than maybe a couple places we're gonna get some more water into the ground versus runoff, but all in all, you know, if in a rain event, you have just 100,000 gallons of water run into Ebenezer branch, you're gonna still have that same amount of water that runs into there. We're not diverting any stormwater anywhere other than Ebenezer branch. It's in that watershed and it's all gonna keep going that direction.
Would that mean we still have the ponds and the pools of water in the rain?
No, we're hoping a lot of that gets solved with the road grading and the couple storm tech units we're putting in as part of the project.
This is the type of thing that people want to know about, and I don't know if this is appropriate. Right now, we have a lot of ponding, which we're worried about because we know it's gotta be full of sewer water, the ponding, because the sewer was really bad. And it was been raining for the last couple of days or so, and the ponds I know have to be full of sewer water.
These are issues that we've talked to you about, Sam, for, you know, a number of months, and we've addressed them in our design and as best we can. I will say this, with stormwater, not every storm is the same, as you all know. Some are more intense than others. And what we've put into the project will handle a certain levels of rain, but it won't handle, you know, other higher levels of rain. So you still could have ponding out, you know, in certain areas. We tried to identify the worst spots and did our best to provide some sort of stormwater management for those areas.
Johnny? Dean? Dwayne? Doug? I don't know everyone's name over here. I'll try by the end of this project to get them all, but anyone else on this side of the room?
Have one online.
Yep.
Carol Parsons. Ms. Parsons?
Yes. So no, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. My question was, I heard about trying to utilize the soil as much as possible, which is fine, like in our yards probably, but where the big sewage leaks are, especially like right across the field from my house. Are they going to get rid of that contaminated soil and please not reuse that, because that can't be healthy for us. And it makes me wonder also, with that just straight up sewage sitting on the ground, what's happening to our groundwater, because we are on well water and it's scary.
So I'll try to address those briefly to the extent of my knowledge about the exact situations. The wells are, I think, somewhere around 100 feet deep. or so. And as long as there's no direct conduit for the water for any sort of septic or
Okay.
water.
That's
to-
like what I think. This is the same with you have it here and the other one I saw in the internet.
Ms. Parsons, we can still hear feedback through your connection.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me mute if I can. But I guess my other question was, are they going to get rid of the contaminated soil?
Yeah, so as far as the soil goes, there's, contaminated is I don't think would be the correct word. It's soil that has received sewage flow, and that doesn't qualify as contaminated soil. You know, there's millions of septic systems all across the country that receive sewage flow, and they're not considered contaminated. There's no real health concern of just leaving that soil in the ground where it is.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that as Donovan Smith is their own operator, they have to report their normal testing when it comes to the wells to DHSS.
Correct. That,
Just
yes,
as if we do our testing.
Great, as a public water supply.
Correct.
correct. Did we answer your questions?
Kind of. Who tests our water to be sure that it hasn't become contaminated? Who's responsible for that?
It'd be the Office of Drinking Water, right?
Well, the Office of Drinking Water receives the test from whoever collects the same.
Their operator, yeah,
Yeah.
they have a private operator. And I know I was surprised to find out that there really weren't that many identified problems with the water system over the last few years. There was some,
$59.99. I'll give you.
you can find those on Denrick's website pretty easily.
Do we have, can we have access to the testing of the water so that we can look at it
I can,
and feel reassured?
They send it to you if you require it.
CCR.
Yep.
Consumer Conference Report's an annual report, just like we do. We have to do the exact same thing. We send it to all residents. We post it in the newspaper, et cetera. I should say, I would assume, Doug, they have to do the same thing.
They do.
Yeah.
They send a card out and ask you if you want a copy of the report to contact them, and they will mail you one.
Deal. Thank you.
thank you. John,
Nothing to add.
Alston, Anne Marie. All right, we will meet April 5th, 2023 at 10 a.m. right here. And that is a standing meeting that we have set up. It'll be the first Wednesday of every month, 10 a.m. right here. All right, thanks everyone for coming.